What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bringing incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest has got such a long list of accomplishments and things that she does. She's a licensed realtor and director of operations for the Terry Hastings real estate team. She also is an entrepreneur and owns her own Cedar Wellness Studio as a health and fitness enthusiast, mental health advocate. She's also a Yoga Fit Canada yoga teacher, recovery coach, certified yoga Nidra, Reiki practitioner, and so many other things. Please welcome Jessica Hastings Lesperance. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm pumped to be here. Thanks so much.
You are truly living label free and exploring everything that you want to do in your life, which is a beautiful thing. What would you say to someone that says, it's not possible, I don't have time to pursue all these different things when you are clearly doing it all?
Yeah. So I'd say it's definitely a common misunderstanding. Sometimes we often think, if only I have help, or if only someone else, I knew someone, or I was introduced to someone. We always have this misperceived conception that that is how we'll get successful.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure a lot of us can relate. We've all felt that sometimes. And really, to me, it's mindset. Everything is how we perceive our thoughts, all those core values. So you can be successful without having any connections, without having anything that we feel we need to get there that other people may have. Because really, at the end of the day, it's about who we are as a person and what opportunities we choose to explore.
Oh, yeah. Amen to that. I totally agree. Let's talk a little bit about your time you as a realtor. You shared with me you're the largest real estate company in Canada.
So yes, our team for Keller Williams Realty Center's team, we are ranked 4th of all of Canada and number 1 on our board and brokerage. So we have a team of 10 and we are co-owners, and really it's the team as a unit accomplishment. And it really takes everyone, not just single people. So it is a huge accomplishment. My parents started the business when my mother was an individual agent and then grew it from nothing. So it was a really good example of her, how, not really knowing many people, and she built and networked in order to get to where it is now.
Yeah, just creating that. And you had mentioned before we started recording, creating that community. I mean, and that's really key to, I think, anyone's success.
It is. You have to have community, because when we explore and are, involved in the community, people start to know, like, and trust you. Yeah. And that's when we start with that networking. And then that's the foundation. And then it starts growing from there. And that's the base of our business, right? Like, that's the value of, well, it is for me.
Yeah.
And that's what people start to see. And then that's how that leverage starts coming in the business.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so how long did it take you to work your way up in your mom's company? Because I'm sure she didn't just hand it to you.
Exactly. No, in fact, I'd say we actually received less leads and a little bit less, than what other agents received, for the sole purpose of, we didn't want people thinking that because we're, I'm the daughter and my husband's a team lead, that we were getting extra. So on one hand, yes, it was frustrating sometimes. And on the other hand, I feel it's authentic and there's integrity in that, because we had to work a little bit harder to show that we are real in what we're doing, and we do know what we're doing, and we have achieved certain things on our own and have an organic business.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's harder so my late husband and I had a business, and a lot of my family worked in the business, and it was harder for them because they thought we handed them the jobs, but they worked harder than anyone else, and really were committed. So I get it when it comes to like working in a family business, because we had a family business, and it's harder on those that are related to you, I think.
Yeah. I always say, I give an example of, say there's 2 people, there's, a son and a daughter, and offer them both the same opportunity.
Right.
One goes and grows and blows it out of the water, and the other one, it's not what they want. So it's that mindset. And for me, I wanted it. I loved being an entrepreneur. I've been raised with it. So I've grown up with it. I have the drive. I have the passion. I love the people I meet, just like how we're connecting now.
Mm-hmm.
So, that 2-person example is I just took it and ran with it. And the other person is just not simply what they're looking for. And
Right.
either way is okay for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. So now let's talk a little bit about your passion that you got a long list of accolades here of things that you provide for your wellness studio. So what made you, or what drove you to start that?
Yeah, it's a very exciting story, I'd say. We used to own a gym with about 200 members, and COVID hit, and we actually ended up closing that facility. And I still want to teach. I've always taught fitness, and I actually didn't have a lot of money to take the full training. So I always had to take weekend trainings and lug my kids around with me, and they kind of liked it, but they kind of didn't. And it was actually when my dad passed away about 6 years ago. And when he passed away, I remember sitting on the front porch. It was about midnight. We just got the news. And I looked up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I want to do, however I want to do it. And I'm going to do it now. Why in the heck am I waiting? What am I waiting for?
Yeah.
So the next day I went and enrolled in this 200-hour trauma-sensitive yoga training. And that I really did that because I want to understand what happens in the mind with grief and anxiety.
Yeah.
Also because my son, who was 4, got the news, he started having unusual behavior, which was anxiety and grief, and we didn't know how to manage it. So the training I took taught me how to manage it. And now I realize there's a whole world out there who people have no idea how to manage what they're going through because the support in some areas or resources are not there. And when I went through everything we went through, and we did make it through, I'll make that clear that you can make it through.
Oh, yeah.
People approaching me saying, hey, can you help us? Like, how did you do that? I noticed you did X, Y, Z. I need help. And I started handing all these resources out. And then I realized, wow, I could start bringing this into class that I teach and really reaching out. So I did that. I teach yoga, but I bring elements of trauma-informed yoga into what I teach, and real estate as well. So I help empower realtors by using brain theory, understanding NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I also have a coach who coaches me on it for about 8 years now. So it's helping other realtors and pulling from all those other hats I wear on how they can manage their life as a realtor and their client. And I love it because it's starting to understand the functions of the brain, body language. It's very cool.
Well, yeah, it's all connected, so if something is off, it's going to affect the other part of you. Right. And so I really believe that it's important to manage all this as one unit and not just separately. I've never heard of that before. Yoga, like trauma, and what was it again?
Yeah. Trauma-informed yoga.
And so what does that mean for someone that's listening that has never heard of that before, like myself?
It's a really good question. So we do certain pranayama breathing techniques. We say certain words or I don't say certain words. The studio is also set up in a certain way. So for example, straps are out of sight. The doors are all labeled. There's a certain way I introduce myself. There's a certain way I stand when I introduce myself. So it's understanding and trying to know that some people can be triggered. And again, it's elements. So it's only certain parts I bring in. The whole class is not a full trauma-informed yoga class. That would be a whole different version.
Sure.
So when I teach, I explain a little bit more what the brain's doing, what's happening in the body. Also transformational language. So I'm speaking that, feeling the breath moving through the back as we explore certain things. So it's really using grounding words to bring us back into the body, into the now, not past here.
Very cool. So you're also, what is a CanFit Pro certified FIS?
Yeah, so that's fitness instructor specialist. So that was my original certification when I started to do group training. You have to have your FIS.
Okay.
And I got one about 8 years ago. Actually, funny story. My mother taught fitness my entire life. So I would go to her classes and I'm a very outgoing, excited person. I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
Wherever my mom said, well, why don't you get your fitness instructor specialist? I said, okay, sure. And I was pregnant at the time. And I remember going to class and we have to learn what's called a 32 count. So if you have to go backwards to what you're teaching the group.
Yeah.
I swear every time I do it, I go this way, they go that way. And I'm just like in tears almost because I just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyways, long story short, I just grew from the FIS and started taking more trainings to what
Okay.
I loved and liked. I think my way. Yeah.
I love it. And so I want one other question. What is a certified yoga nidra?
It's yoga nidra. And it
Nidra.
is amazing. So if anyone's listening out there and you need to improve, less anxiety, you have sleep, you feel fatigued, stressed,
Yeah.
yoga nidra is something that it's like we hover around the frequency of sleep. And we're in that soft frequency just before we're about to fall asleep. There's actually lots of items happening in the brain. So with yoga nidra, it's a full body walkthrough. So for example, you'd be lying on the ground, and I usually have midnight lights on, and we have body pillows, eye pillows, essential oils, and I would say right hand thumb,
Okay.
pointer finger, middle finger. Yeah. So we go through the points of the body, and there's a certain amount of points I can do. The shorter class, I don't use all of them.
Okay.
We also access the left and the right brain hemispheres. So like black, white, peas, pod, sun, moon. And I go through a series of all these words and points, breath, feeling hot, feeling cold. And I exchange the tones of my voice. And it could be a 30-minute class, could be an hour class.
Okay.
And really, if I remember correctly, about 20 minutes of yoga nidra is equivalent to 4 hours of sleep.
Holy cow. That's amazing. So I love yoga. I take yoga a lot. It's something that I need for myself just to kind of keep myself grounded. I think it's very good for your body, just like your spirit, like all of it. And that's something I've never heard of before. That's fascinating.
It is. And the first invention, it actually came from the Army. It was a gentleman who was trying to help the veterans with PTSD. So this is where the emotional, physical trauma of my trauma-informed training came from. This was one of the trainings that we kind of explored yoga nidra and the history of it.
Oh, wow. Very cool. So someone comes to your studio, do you do anything online?
I do. Yeah. So we have all yogas online or in the studio. And I also teach spin and pound, which is a rock out workout. It's a lot of fun and I love it. And then the studio, I really started the studio because I seen a need for the community with mental health. We've done many large projects, campaigns for giving back to the hospitals and the homeless shelters. And we just did a recent one where we raised over $11,000 in doTERRA emergency kits for the local doctor office. Yeah, it was a big one.
And doTERRA, I know what it is because I actually have some of it. Can you tell the audience what that is?
Yeah. So doTERRA is an essential oil company. What I love about them is you actually kind of research them a little bit more and understand what their purpose and their mission is. It's actually to help schools, build hospitals. The people on the board are more involved with giving back. And the oil is the product that helps do that, actually. It's very, very cool. That's why I love the company.
Yeah, so I had a guest on my show that sent me a care package of doTERRA, and he picked everything out. And I love essential oils, and I think that it's necessary to have like in your home. But also sent me like their toothpaste that was just phenomenal. Like I love the toothpaste.
Yeah, it's amazing. And in the doTERRA emergency kit, there's a 24-hour and then a 72-hour emergency kit. And in the kit, there's toothpaste, toothbrush, there's sanitized wipes, there's the essential oil, tea tree oil.
Oh, there,
yeah. Cuts and bruises.
Yeah.
And so we were able to give out, we've given out a lot of those kits, usually 300 or 500 at a time. and they're very expensive items. And basically, I apply for them, and then I help distribute them.
Oh, that's amazing. And so you can help, if someone's listening to this is interested in getting some doTERRA, you can help them with that.
Of course, I can. Yeah, you have to reach out to me. I'm so excited for the next project, and really, how we get our next projects is by communicating, connecting with people, and that I just see the need, and then I'm all in. So I'm your girl.
You do it all. Like, I just love it. How do you balance everything in your day from real estate to your studio?
I get this question every time I'm on something. It's funny. I leverage. So I've been taught the value of leveraging quick.
Yeah.
And we have staff who we empower to do their roles. We have a nanny, an assistant, someone who helps with social media. We hired a cleaner to help. So all the areas where I wasn't able to get to, they can help with the host stuff. And our nanny is kind of part-time, where we kind of just, this morning, for example, I did a workout, and I came back, hung out with the kids, and then I came here to do this podcast, and then I'm going back to take them to the beach. So it's just kind of figuring out what works once your ebb and flow, and where you need the help, leverage it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it doesn't happen overnight, right? It took you slow steps to get to where you are today to actually implement and have the luxury of having a nanny, because not everybody has that luxury if they're working on building their business or pursuing a passion or their purpose or anything like that.
Course. And I think that's a very valuable point to say, because I get people who all the time, who at first I actually wouldn't share that we had a nanny. Now I'm over it. I had to go through chaos, accommodating, sacrificing. I worked my business so hard so that I can have this now, because my why for my business, the purpose of what I do, is strong enough that I had to go through 4 or 5 years of just getting it done, because I did see the bigger vision, and I knew there'll be a shift at some point. Delayed gratification. If you can be patient, it will happen. And you just have to know what you want to do. You have to just figure it out.
Yeah. I agree. And it will happen. It will come to you. Please share. I think you have a million of them, but please let the audience know where they can connect with you, learn more, because I know we have a big audience in Canada. So if they're interested in working with you from a realtor standpoint or wanting to learn more about your studio, can you plug out your links?
Of course, yeah. So we are the Terry Hastings Real Estate Group, Keller Williams Realty Centers. We have offices in Waterton, Port Elgin, Owen Sound, and Tobermory, and that is Canada, Ontario. And my links for social media, Instagram is Raised with Real Estate, Facebook as well. And then you can find me, Jessica Hastings, Les Bronze Realtor, on Facebook, and Cedar Wellness Studio on Facebook and Instagram. And a fun note, I also just have a book, my second edition of Anxiety for Back to School for Kids, The Parent's Guide to Helping Our Children Worry Less. And it is going to drop pre-order in about a week from now. I'm so pumped. So if anyone's looking for tools or anything to help, ease that transition for back to school, check out Amazon. Will be there, and I can't wait to share it with you.
How exciting. Congratulations on that. You guys, I'm going to put those links in the show notes. I know there's a bunch of them, but if you connect with her, if you're in Canada and need some realtor assistance, go reach out to Jessica. Or if you are anywhere in the world and want to join one of her classes, she does online classes with her studio, go click that link, check her out, and go give her a follow on social media. And if you're a parent dealing with the kids going back to school, which I don't know what it's like, but I'm assuming it's pretty stressful, go purchase her book live on Amazon in a week. Jessica, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
I would like to say that there are all kinds of opportunities out there. And my goal is to empower and encourage everyone that we must take the opportunities that we want and not be afraid to do it. We have to get out of our own way. Go all in. You can do it. I'm like your little birdie on your shoulder that was saying, if you want it, you have to go for it. Don't wait, like me, for someone who had to pass away for my mindset to really get there. So go do it now.
I like that. Amen to that. Just do it. Dang it. Jessica, thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing all you do. There was a lot of valuable tips in there for anyone that might be struggling or trying to find their purpose, that it is possible and they just have to pull that trigger and just make it happen.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.